the usual same old, like, that's really my kind of vibe. So I think I would have loved this movie whenever. But I do hear what you're saying. Like, we definitely, of all the horror stuff, this and Freaky was probably the funnest movies I've watched, like, from last year that was actually fun, and you were kind of like laughing and cheering for people and stuff.
Those kills in Freaky are very fun. The tennis racket kill. I know it's people getting murdered. That Landon, between Happy Death Day films and this, he's found a really interesting way to take a familiar trope like a time loop or body swap and take murders and just make them funny. It's it's really interesting.
And again, a bit subversive. Again, like flips it, like do something different with it. I just like stuff that tries to do something different. It was like, so I watched Willy's Wonderland for the first time this week.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I love that movie so much. I love it. But because, I mean, like, look what's happening. It's so, again, something so different. Like, oh, what a great movie.
That's been one of our most popular episodes of late. People are really listening to Willy's Wonderland. But really,
yeah, I was very jealous when I heard you and David already talked about it. Like, cause oh gosh, what a fun, great film to talk about. Like, that's a good one. Glad you guys did a talk on it.
Mandy, Color Out of Space, and Willy's Wonderland, they're three completely different films, but they all work on their level. So I think Mandy is just a sensory blast film that's just pure, I think it's pure art, Mandy. I think it's provocative and wild and like an art house picture. And then you have Color Out of Space, which is a gonzo, brightly lit. It's so glossy looking, the way that's shot, but then it goes to some horrible territory. And then you have Willy's Wonderland, which is just a straight up silly ride. That is Nick Cage pummeling on creatures and, beating them up in bathrooms. And they're so different, but yet, oh, so good. I love it. I don't even think you can compare the three of them because they're all so different to each other. But Cage has done some pretty good horror lately.
Absolutely. No, it's good to have him on the horror side because clearly it's working. We've been getting some good stuff from him for sure.
What did you think about Dario's or Alexis's matching upside down crosses? She had the earrings and then she had the necklace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought that was so typical. Like she's like the pastor's daughter and that's also the thing. Like we're so used to seeing like, the kids of like pastors and stuff being all rebel against like the religion, growing up in the houses or whatever. Not Alexis. No, she's like buying into it hook, line and sinker, like so much that she's used to like buying all the stuff, all the like jewelry and stuff. I can see her just always wearing her crosses, like everything has crosses and everything has stickers with crosses and like, she's very, very into it. So when she does something, she goes like all over with it, which I kind of love because she actually looked so tacky, but that was like her version of trying to look cool now, trying to look like, like I'm into heavy metal, I'm like an anarchist, that was her idea of looking like that. Like I thought the wardrobe in general, from especially like Alexis and Val, like it felt very much over the top, but it worked great. Like where Beverly was way more natural, like. But again, she was actually into rock and metal, so she looked like someone that was into rock and metal. The other two were like, that's like the definition of trying too hard, and like also like kind of a giveaway. Like, they come from a different place, really. I mean, Val was having more fun with it. Alexis was, weird with all the crosses.
If she was an undercover cop, she would get called out immediately.
Rookie mistake, girl. Rookie mistake.
But that's funny that you say that, because definitely I worked at a bar that had a lot of metal bands, hardcore music, and you could always tell the real ones, the real fans of the metal, because they just showed up looking, for lack of a better word, unkempt. Like that's a hardcore fan right there.
Like they just had a nap and they didn't even like change their clothes. They just came to the show. Absolutely.
And then you had the newer folks.
The newbies.
Who dressed up more and kind of went for it. And maybe they do love it, but they're just new at it and they haven't had maybe they are interlopers. Maybe they want to interact with this world for a little bit. But you could always tell who was newly into it and then who was for real into it. Like the kids all look the same. If I saw a kid walking up with jean shorts that were cut off from jeans, really old shoes, some form of black shirt, and then gauges in their ears. I'm like, yeah, this kid likes hardcore music. That's how I knew the hardcore fans were the real ones. But I mean, that's still good costume work though on this. It just shows once again people thought it through. They thought their characters through.
It was realistic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was realistic. And I think it's also part of the fact that we knew it was the girls because that was already off for us. Like it didn't fit. That's why we knew from the beginning, yeah, these girls are going to be summoning some stuff.
Some darkness.
The wardrobe, it gave them away.
But yeah, I don't know. And then the dynamics between the kids in the band and the one kid was leaving.
Oh yeah, going to California, leaving them behind. There was also a little bit of like the outsiders with Bev and Mark leaving, like, and the rest is like, country folk just staying in one place where all this nonsense is happening. There was definitely an underlying thing there too. Again, they didn't really hit on or anything, but it was there. And I thought that's also like a cool little extra layer to it. And that's the two that got out. The two that wanted out, I guess,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they did. They should definitely though wash off their vehicle because they have Alexis's hair in it. That's not.
I mean, oh my gosh, listen, I didn't even think about this, but I so want a sequel to this movie now with Beverly and Mark, and they've never spoken about any of this, but then, because there's like a whole big congregation and like Pastor John is still like out there and then like they track these two down in California and there's a whole freaking thing happening again.
Oh, yeah.
Sequel.
And Val's still around.
Yeah, who made it?
I don't know how.
Who gets to, feature in the sequel? I am there for it. We need a sequel.
The twin sister is back.
Crowdfund a sequel.
And you know what I like too is Taryn Anderson, that she's the cinematographer on this. She shot tape 49 on VHS2. She was on a thing called, she shot Southbound. She also did a segment in XX, the anthology film, and she's been shooting Blind Spotting, which is really cool, which makes me happy because I like that movie a lot. She kept finding glass to shoot through. I don't know if you noticed that. There's tables shooting up. Like when the stepmom is doing the line of cocaine, you see her shooting up through the glass table, shooting up her nose. And I thought it was interesting meat and potatoes cinematography, but I really liked when they're lighting the stuff on fire and they're smiling. I really felt like Taryn knew how to get. It seems like they shot a lot of the film on a tripod. There's only a couple scenes that are on a Steadicam, but I loved her framing in this because not one shot in this movie ever took me out of it, if that makes sense. Sometimes in horror films, there's a shot that tries too much. There's none of that in this. I think it services the film really well, and I think she crushed it, Taryn Anderson did.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. I mean, you're right. There was no shot that ever took me out. It felt natural, but still exciting enough to keep me going. That's also the thing. It's a fine line because I hate it when people get overly, everything needs to be shot from the bottom up. You get those filmmaking that it becomes too, where you can see, oh, someone did a lot of fun experimenting, but kind of to the detriment of the movie. I didn't feel like it at all with this movie. It felt seamless, really. It worked.
And the costume designer's Maxine Baker. She also did Jason X. I'm glad that she didn't lean into the Jason X. I mean, the Jason X costumes were fine for what they were, but yeah, this was much better, I would say. I'll give that.
No, this was pretty cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
Because like I say, I love it that this movie had this, there was a naturalist feeling to it. Everything felt natural. Everything felt like, yeah, I buy this. This makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really anything that someone did or the way things looked. Oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about the interior of that house.
Yeah.
That they took set design because well done on that too. Wow, money don't buy taste. That house.
Yeah, and it never felt overly tacky though. Sometimes you see it and you're like, oh, that's so 80s. This one felt, oh, okay, cool. This is 80s. It was neat, right? Except for the Jeep. I think the Jeep they had was in the 90s, but whatever. But,
so tacky though. Yeah, it was really, but not overly, but I don't know, that interior of the house, nothing made sense. The moment they stepped into that house and they showed the house, I was like, ooh, I'm struggling with the design choices of these people. Why would you have that color there with that? What is hanging there? I was immediately judging the rich people with the terrible furniture and like just interior design. But I liked it. It was again like a nice, like there's attention to detail in this movie with a lot of the stuff, and again, it came across so effortlessly. But at the end of the day, it's people that really like go and like think things through, and we need to make it look like this because this is what the people like, that's how they would do it. And like, it's a lot of work. And again, kudos to everyone. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they cleared everything out, bought everything new, dressed the place, and they just focused on it. Yeah, I dug it. I love it. I keep saying I love this movie, and I don't care because I'm really happy that we're promoting this film because it's one of those that just puts a smile on my face. It's subversive enough, and I dig it.
Totally.
I gave it a mention on our 2021. I think I said favorite cast or great cast. I didn't put it in my 5, but I'm glad I picked it because I had to promote how refreshing the characters were. But I would put, okay, I like Alexis a lot. She's cool, but I would put Val on my all horror squad because she just seems like a fun wild card. And she's not, like, Val wants to be a leader. I think, no, not Val. Alexis wants to be the leader. Val would think she's a leader, but just be down to cause chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she would.
Val versus the Joker.
Yeah, she's even got a Harley Quinn vibe to her, I think. Like,
oh,
a bit nutty. I can see her playing Harley Quinn.
Yeah. No, that'd be...
Right?
Do it. Make it happen. In 4 years when they reboot it. Yes. Let Margot Robbie direct it.
Yes, Margot.
Make it happen.
Maddie Hassan. Yeah.
Yeah, make us the associate producers. It's cool. All right, well,
and I want to see more from Amy Forsyth too. Like, I mean, she was good as Beverly. I thought she commanded a performance. Like, what is that saying? Like, yeah.
No, I
liked her.
And she's done a lot of horror though. She was in Hellfest. She was in A Christmas Horror Story. She also did a lot of work on Channel Zero, which is a gnarly show. So she's a horror veteran, which I kind of like. Nice. She's been doing that stuff for a while. She was in the Lizzie Borden Chronicles. I don't know if that's really horror.
I don't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, she's like, these are all she's good. And
nice.
What's interesting with her role is she couldn't be the loud one. So I wonder what it was like on set watching Maddie go bonkers or Alexandra get those crazy eyes, and then she had to be the kind of rational one. I wonder if that's fun or not. Does that make sense? So you're the sort of the glue.
I think like it always looks like a lot more fun to play the crazy characters because in a way it is like they're not bound to they're not restrained as much. So that is the fun part of playing it. But at the same time, what I loved about the character of Beverly is most of the time she was more just like this attitude of, oh, I don't want to be here. Like, this is like, when they go tell her, go get like, what was she supposed to go get in the barn?
Oh, yeah, some weapons or...
to break the door down. And she's like, oh, like, why do I have to do it? Again, like, it's a very, like, teenager thing, like, a whole attitude about it. Like, oh, this is so putting me out. I can't even. Which is also fun. Like, I think, and then, like, with her being we see through her the horror that she's seeing, like, oh, this is not right. But then, like, when do I say it, when not? So I think, like, playing that intense character, I mean, she obviously got into it well. I think it was still fun. I would play that character.
So, final thoughts about this movie?
Yeah, no, I really loved, I think one of my favorite moments is probably the baking sheet, like
bonk.
The bonk, the double bonk. I think I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say about it. It's so much fun. I wish it got more love because then it would mean we would have a sequel because it's so right for a sequel.
We summon more darkness.
We summon more darkness, yes.
Not again. Oh, brother.
We summon the darkest darkness.
Oh, there it is. That's even better. Yeah, I like it.
Like it.
But yeah, you're right. The bonking part is my favorite. I just love a good sheet tray kitchen fight.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like I said, I love that line, that first line, like, makeup is like war paint for sex. It's such The lines in this movie was also great. There were a couple of few lines. I thought it was well written in general. It's awesome to hear that, yeah, the writer wasn't precious about like killing his babies and whatever. It's a very good attitude to have if you are a screenwriter, a writer in general.